Tell me when we're on.
Yeah.
Oh, we're on. Hi guys, how are you? I'm going to wear a new t-shirt today. It's 1-800 No to Ice. Up here. Maybe like that. You know, they do those posts sometimes where they go, make statements. 1-800 No to Ice. Call us, we can help. Hey, this is our new 1-800 number. If you are somebody that's helping somebody through addiction, or you have a family member that needs help, or maybe you're that person that you've had enough of that life of addiction and you are ready to make a change, this is the number to call. 1-800 No to Ice. That's 1-800-6686-423. I'm reading backwards, haha, that's awesome. Hey guys, welcome to another show of Let's Talk About Ice, and today we are going to talk about ice. So before we start, I'm going to ask you now to press share on your Facebook page, and I'd like you to press share and do a watch party. Come on, let's spread this message out, because you know it's the power of the testimony that sets the captive free. It's, you know, by people sharing their journey on ice, you know, we can warn other people that may be contemplating using it or contemplating change. Yeah, so this testimony can make a difference. They can hear the journey, where it takes you, and you know, what happens in a life of addiction. And you know, only a few of us actually escape that life. So I've got an amazing person I'd like to introduce you to today, and his name is Justin. How do you say his name? Stephanie. Welcome,
Hello,
Justin.
everybody. Hi. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show.
Absolutely.
And sharing your story, because
sure.
you know, we both know that by sharing our story, even though it's hard walking through that again, it really can highlight you know, really important points to people,
Sure.
that about addiction and about, you know, what that does to you. So I'm really grateful that you could be here, because I've heard
Absolutely. It's a privilege. Yeah.
a little bit of your story, and I'm
Sure.
like, what? That's insane. Before I do that, Justin, can I just share a few things? I just wanted to say a huge thank you to Southport Sinorama. I think that's how you say. Is that how you say their name? Sinorama.
Yeah.
Because they have put up our signs today outside. So thanks so much, guys, for looking after us. They look amazing. So now we're in our new offices and we have signs. So thank you to you guys, Sinorama in Southport. Thank you to Gardner Cars, who are still doing their burnout sale. That's what it's called. End of year burnout sale, and their cars are just walking out the door, guys. Honestly, if you're looking for a car, you need to go down and see them, because they donate back to your community for more kids to get the education program, get protected against the dangers of ice and other drugs. So thanks, guys, at Gardner Cars. They're down in Burleigh on the Gold Coast, and I'm sure that if you order a car from Interstate, I'm sure they can work it out and get it delivered. So you know, please give them a call if you're looking for a car at the end of year sale. Mercer and Cooper Realty, thanks guys. Bernice and Matt, thank you so much for your continued support and your love for what we do. And we've had a little bit of new things happening in the office. We have had the Restore 21 guys, the guys in rehab have come over and they've helped us, you know, clean the gutters of that place and clean up the garden. So thank you so much, guys, and Sue for sending the guys. We really appreciate the unity and your help through this time while we're getting our offices set up. And we've had the girls from Transformation come in, and they're going to be coming in weekly and helping out around the kitchen and around the premises, and just integrating and seeing what we do. And it was a really amazing connection, because I actually knew some of them from my past life. So it was really, really good to have the girls in here. And guys, I have to say this, because I've got to plug it. I'm getting so excited. We are preparing to open our op shop. That's right, the op shop is finally here. It's been a long time in the making, and we are setting it up. We've just put up a front door, and we've got stuff in there already. In a few weeks, I think is it 2 or 3 weeks that we're going to be launching the op shop. Yeah, hopefully 2 weeks, but I'll give you a better dates and times and stuff. But if you have stuff that in your cupboards that you really don't use anymore and you think it can make a difference, you know, we're here. We're taking donations, and all our proceeds go back to, all our profits go back to the work that we do. So as you know, we do On the Streets feeding program and blankets on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. We're looking at setting up Monday as well. And we do the education in schools, and we do our buddy peer support. So if you that's another way that you can help. Donations, if you want to come and volunteer, or give us some donations to the op shop, or if you want to donate some cash, every $10 helps us get in front of another youth, protect them against the dangers of ICE. Hey, we're now working more and more with the prisons as well too. So it's a real blessing for us to be able to do that and support some of the guys that are coming out of prison and get them active and working again and stuff. So that's going to be happening, and don't forget the Ride Against ICE on the 24th of October. The page should be up now, and you should be able to register to go on that ride. If you're on the Gold Coast, guys, we're going to be riding Saturday the 24th of October, 10 a.m. At Meakin Road, Kingston, at the Vietnam Vets. We're doing that with the Chariots of Light, and any bike riders that want to come and join us, come out for a great night. Do we have a poster for that?
Yeah, we do.
Could you grab me a poster? I'm gonna show you a poster. It is on our website. It is on our events page. And we have a surprise guest, and some of you young ones might not know him, but I knew him, and I was like, "You're kidding? He's gonna come and sing!" Wow, I was blown away. So I have to thank you, Rianne. I have to show you. Can you see that, Rob?
Yep.
Yeah.
Past here.
Can you see it? Can you see it? We have entertainment at the end of the ride, and with the Adam Hole Band and Mr. Angry Anderson himself. That's right.
Woo!
Yeah, woo! Go Angry. And you know what? He's not very angry. Yeah, no, he's beautiful, I've heard. I can't wait to meet him. So, guys, this is the poster. Look out for our event poster, and register. If you don't have a bike, it's okay. You can drive. Yeah, so just register, become part of the fun, or you can just come to the event at the end, and you can just buy a ticket for that. But tickets are on sale. So thanks, Rianne. Thank you so much. So guys, promote this interview tonight, please, on your Instagram page, on your Facebook, because the more reach we get, the more people we can help. Really, honestly, you don't know who needs to hear this message tonight. So I thank you in advance. Thank you for your hearts. Thank you for becoming part of the change in Australia in relation to ICE. And we're really, really blessed because we're one of the 2% that have actually come out of ICE addiction.
2%. It's crazy.
It's crazy. Only out of 100 people that become entrapped in ICE addiction, only 2 of those come out. And, that really, I remember what it was like to be in there. And I just think I wouldn't want to spend my life in that space, just forever, or dead, or in prison, or in a mental health institute. I'm just so glad that you're here tonight, and
Awesome.
that I'm here tonight.
It's a privilege.
Yeah, absolute privilege.
Right.
But that's why we need to share it, because people that are stuck there and they want help.
So good.
That we're here to help them.
Yeah,
We're
awesome.
here to hold their hand and talk with them. But I want to know a little bit about your story, because I've heard little glimpses and I heard a few things on the grapevine, and I'm like, oh man, I hope you would come. I was hoping you would come in here for a week.
Sure.
So, tell me a little bit about your background and how drugs become part of your life. What was your family life like when you were a kid?
So my hello to everybody. Look, my family life was actually really good. Probably. Not speaking to the norm of what I guess an ICE addict, or really ICE doesn't take any victims. It doesn't. ICE isn't prejudice against anyone. If as you read on your cup before, it's one touch, and just do it once and you're gone. But my parents are still together. They're still married. They're faith-filled. I had a praying mum. It's probably the reason I'm alive today and able to share.
Wow.
Praying mum, praying auntie, and a praying community back in New Zealand. My mum and dad, my mother's a Kiwi, my dad's American, and I was born in Sydney. So I've got an older brother and a younger sister, and I was born a long time ago now. I feel like I'm younger, but I'm about to hit the magic 40. But when I was 6, my parents were leading a church in Sydney, actually, and then we moved to New Zealand. I don't really remember much of it. We moved to New Zealand, and then about 9, we moved to the States. So I had quite a good crew of friends at that stage in New Zealand, East Auckland.
Oh, yeah.
East-South Auckland. And great community. I was young, I was 9, so like kiss and catch was probably the extreme of being like naughty or blowing up something with firecrackers. But then we moved to the States, and it was good. We moved to Minnesota, then we moved down to Chicago. In Chicago, I started to we started. I would go to church every Sunday. Went to Bill Hybels' church, big churches, and for me, I grew up in the bubble of Christianity and David and Goliath and Noah's Ark. So it was what I knew. It was there. As far as intimacy, walking in a relationship with God, or having ever experienced the presence of God, I know I've been in it and under the umbrella, and I know that now. But at that point, when I moved back from America and started, dabbling with cigarettes and things like that, sort of 14, 15. When I moved back to New Zealand, out in East Auckland, a lot of my friends at that time that I knew that were the good little soccer boys and rugby players and whatever, they were kind of like the criminals of the area. Still good kids, like a lot of them were good. A lot of us had good families, but some of the boys just got mixed up with the wrong things. And I think, to be honest, because I moved so many different times, so many different schools, I guess in a sense I was trying to find somewhere to fit in. It was just moving once again. Culture shift, and again just trying to make friends and be with the in crew.
So you moved to America when you were 9?
Yeah.
And then you moved again when you were 14?
Back. I was about 14, when we moved back to New Zealand. So we sort of did the big circle. So I was about 14, went to school, started ditching school. A lot of people were drinking. Remember Skate Station, first time I smoked weed. In fact, I smoked weed there, didn't get stoned, and then I was at a church camp, believe it or not, a youth camp for a church. And I got another boy had been sent to camp, and he got sent to camp with some weed. And I remember we were up in the bush somewhere, and it's the first time I properly got stoned was actually at a church camp. So what does that say? I'm a pastor now, so I can't laugh about that. But yeah, look, I came back and I actually liked it. I liked that the effects wore off, whereas when everyone else would drink, I didn't like drinking. Like I was kind of the angry drunk. If I drink, I get crazy and I do stupid things, and probably think I'm a bit bigger than I am. And and I've got a heart. Like I grew up, with a good upbringing, knew what was right and wrong. So I think using drugs as well, going from marijuana to, I think it was LSD at the time, then to speed, then to ecstasy, and then meth or ice came around. P, it's called in New Zealand.
Yeah, that's right.
So I started dabbling with that, started partying when everyone else would drink. I would take trips and drive, like probably not a good combination.
No.
So from 15 up until probably about 20, and started getting in with a few, I don't know if you call it higher level people, and started meeting people through the trades. We didn't have to just go to tinny houses or drug houses, but started knowing friends and then brothers and then associates and then better quality gear. And it really, at that stage, was the early days, I think, for New Zealand of meth. Like I remember it was like $1,000 a gram.
Wow.
So even when I got sent to Australia, it was like cheaper. I was like, wow, this is, at that point, it was magic. I was like, wow. And so, look, at that point, actually, I was doing pretty good in the sense of I was making it. I was a builder, carpenter, working my hands up, did a lot of jobs. Probably the most most of my career was just building jobs. And look,
So you were smoking weed and
smoke weed. I smoke weed every day.
That's right.
It was my thing anyway. And our crew. So yeah, look, I was doing that every day. One of them that was just like cigarettes. So just, that's probably like that and cigarettes was pretty hard to get over, to get up, as well as everything else. And so it was. Yeah, look, I actually met a partner through using at that time, which we went together for about a year. We ended up getting engaged, and she was a great girl. We made a great family. Yeah, $10,000 to a dealer. It wasn't for ice. It was, well, at that stage it was like base, I guess, like without going into detail, it was very high quality stuff, and I just kept getting it. And then
Can you just like
Yeah.
some people won't, they don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
some
really?
people, some
Oh.
guys watching.
yeah, we were talking before, so I'm like, I'm already talking on this level of doors open.
Some people are watching. They don't know what base means. They don't know what some of these drugs are. So,
Okay.
you know, some people call us and they're like, you know, my son, I think this might be ice, or I think I found this in the room. So
Okay.
we're talking to people that might be using, yes,
Mhm.
but we're also talking to people that have no idea.
Okay, great. Okay, so base or heat in New Zealand is at that stage, you know, I can see it usually comes in a baggie, a small baggie, and the stuff that we were dealing with is gold. So it literally looks like it looks like a little bit at the bottom of the bag. It's gold, kind of like almost like golden syrup or honey.
Yeah.
But a little bit more runny, or crystal form, and that's what it was. So meth is basically, or ice is a pure form of speed, and it comes in rock form or liquid or whatever else they do these days. And at that stage, the stuff that we were dealing with at that particular point, you got to remember this is like 20 years ago now. Yeah, we're getting old, or I'm old. You're still young. And so that was like at the beginning of like people learning how to cook speed, people learning how to import. And at that stage, I remember there was conversations about Malaysian ice and passion fruit flavor and just all these crazy things coming in. You know, it was the same with marijuana. It was skunk and hydro and purple hash and all the different kinds.
Yeah.
It's different kinds and different qualities, but they all come from the same amphetamine family, basically. So it was an amphetamine. And when you take amphetamines, you charge. You know, I was thinking about it today when I was on my way home from the gym, and the Bible says these two things the Lord detests, lust and greed. And to be honest, it was almost like it could be categorized. Like it's funny because I talk to people and they're like, I don't believe in God, but they'll tell you that they believe in the devil. Yeah. And it's amazing because I firmly believe that amphetamine, I think all drugs, but I think amphetamine is definitely a drug of the devil. Yeah. Because the two consistent things that you could probably find with everyone using drugs is there's a high lust, whether it's for the flesh, guys, girls, whatever, and for things, and then there is greed as well. It's just the consuming of like you just can't get enough. You promise everything to everyone, and it's all about me, self, and it's the opposite to everything that the kingdom of God is. That's right. And so that's why I think it does, and it is so destructive, and it needs to, you know, I love what you're doing. It's I thought about it, and you know, ice got me for many years. But it's good to be able to punch it back in the face, if you will, you know. So you got to lift the covers off it and expose it and call it what it is. That's right. Because it is literally destroying families, it's destroying lives. Look, so at about that stage, I actually started to clean up. It's a crazy story, and you'll probably think I'm insane, but there's lots more. But at this,
never, it can't get more insane than my story. So
Well, you just told me. I love your story.
Really big stories, you know. So say it as it is.
So at this point, I remember I went back to my mum and dad's. I was with this partner at the time. I don't know if we were engaged yet at this stage. I think just prior to getting engaged, and I was trying to pay off this debt. So I'd given up gear. I'd like stopped for a season.
How long were you stopped?
Probably just maybe a month or so, and then I was trying to work out, okay, how do I clear this debt? And I went and saw my mum and dad, and they actually brought in someone from a church who was like an associate pastor, but he was an ex-cop. And I remember a big Kiwi, you know, Maori boy, big lad, and he walked down the road and he's like, all right, what are we going to do? How much do you owe? I'll go see him. And I'm like, you can't do that, you know, the old world of you can't narc, you can't, narking is slang for dobbing or telling on someone. You know, you just don't tell on people. That's what you don't do. And so I didn't.
You'll end up dead.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't go down that road. I literally bought a ticket to the Gold Coast where my partner at the time had friends here. So it's crazy story. So I arrived at Brisbane. I had literally. I think I used like the week of leaving because of the anxiety and everything else. And I remember arriving. I don't know what state I was in, but I remember arriving. I remember catching the bus down to Robina Town Centre, and I sat there waiting for them to come. And then I freaked out. I'm like, 'cause I know I was still like in the come down stages, and I'm like, what the heck am I doing? Like, I'm at Robina on the Gold Coast, and I literally called a taxi with the only $100 I had, back up to the airport, stayed the night at the airport, and then caught a flight home. I remember getting strip searched at Auckland Airport, because obviously I've just left.
So you just
Auckland.
left and then you just
I'll
come
come
back?
back like a day and a half later, and I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
coming down. In
Yeah.
other words, the drugs are coming out of my system, and I was just fearful. I'm like, man, I've just left the chick that at that stage I was in love with, and my whole world. I'm like, no, I've got to deal with this as a man. I'll go back and sort it out. And I went back, searched at the airport, and the guys are like, they couldn't work me out. They're like, what's wrong with you? And I ended up getting released from customs and went back to my partner's house at the time, and her dad had just gotten out of detox,
Right.
as he was an alcoholic. So he knew the journey I was on, and they owned a real estate company at the time. And look, he came out and he had, I think it was like $7,000 in cash, and he threw it at me.
Wow.
Actually threw it at her. He didn't want to give it to me, but threw it at her. And he had a good heart, and said, go and sort it out.
Wow.
Do whatever you have to and use this. So I did that, and that cleared the debt. I think some funny things happened around family cars and things like that afterwards. Look, and then I was probably about a year and a half clean. I was doing my building apprenticeship at that stage. I was trying to get on with life. We were engaged.
So you were clean. You stopped using.
Stopped using drugs.
But you weren't in recovery yet.
No.
So
So I didn't know what recovery was. I just stopped using them. It was hard, but I still smoked. I probably still snuck the odd bong or bucket bong, or whatever you want to call it. But I remember, like, I wouldn't go out, like, because I didn't like drinking, and if I did drink, I'd end up on the gear anyway, because I would just do it.
That's just what happens.
Yeah, I loved like, and there's probably a whole side of this. Like, I love going to raves, I love going to dance parties. I just loved it. And Auckland, K Road, the scene was dance parties. So we would go to like Wednesday night raves, and we'd still, that sort of began that lifestyle of not just on the weekend, but during weekdays as well. And then it just goes, and so. My partner at the time, she got pregnant. We're going to have a baby, and then like literally one day before the 12-week cut-off, before you can not have an abortion anymore, her mum actually took her to get an abortion. And I think deep down that did something to me. Like, I think it was like a brick wall. My dad was in America, my grandma passed away, and he came back with baby clothes, and it was just like, look, long story short, that relationship fell apart. Yeah. She actually moved to Australia. I stayed and did my building apprenticeship. At that stage, we were still engaged, and I found out that she was living here with a partner at the time, and I was delusional. Yeah. I was still in love. I had the goggles on, so I was doing my building apprenticeship probably for about 6 months. Still had this fantasy that it was all going to work out. And then there was probably a week where I found out that I didn't find out, she stopped answering her phone, and then I worked out, I was building houses up the road, so I was very healthy. I was a carpenter, and I came down to the house, her parents' house actually, and there was like young cars outside, and I'm like, what's going on here? So I knocked on the door, and then a whole bunch of guys in the lounge room actually like just scattered, and so I couldn't work it out, and she came down the stairs, and I remember she had like she'd just woken up, scabbily dressed, if you will. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, put some clothes on, there's other dudes here. And then I looked who was there, and she said, look, it's over, I'm with someone else. And so at that stage, I'm like straighty 180, like not on any drugs at all, been behaving, just been working. And I had a bit of a temper, and still do, I work on it regularly. But obviously I have Jesus now, and the Holy Spirit, so that's good. And I went back to my house. I pretty much loaded up my 4-wheel drive with I'm like, what do I do? All you want to do is revenge. It's like all this time. I took everything to her house. I tried getting the guys out of the house. And in the process of me leaving and coming back with fridges and beds, and dumped it in the driveway, smashed everything, did the whole lost the plot deal. But what the mistake I made, and it's got me where I'm at, so I don't regret it now. But I look back and I see how I could have done things differently. I went to some of my mates who I hadn't hung out with for about a year and a half, and I actually introduced all these guys to drugs. And so this is probably something that I've had to deal with. A lot of my crew from New Zealand that I used to know, I just destroyed so many, ice destroyed, but I had a big part to play in introducing people to drugs and ripping people off and just doing things in states that I look back now and I'm like, I can't believe I did that. You know what I'm saying? And that's what ice does to you. It causes you to just do stupid things. And look, I went back, went around to a friend's house and they had graduated from just small level stuff to, at that stage, ice was pretty much now readily available everywhere. It went from buying a little amount, $100 worth, to getting $1,000, $500 worth. I think basically on that night, I got some weed, I tried some ice, and that began about a year and a half, almost 2 years every single day of using just to numb the pain. So I kept building for about 6 months. Maybe my time frames were a little bit off. It was just all clouded.
And because you lose time and space when you're on the gear, and you don't know if it was morning or night or when. And when did that actually happen? When did I come to?
It was crazy.
Big mess, isn't
Mate,
it?
I remember one of my bosses. I was building houses, and he turned up, and he pulled me aside, and he said to me, I think outside of even in drugs, God was continuing to put good people around me, and I think it's just a blessing that came. It was generational, and I had praying parents, and I remember his name was Barry Walsh, and he came up to me and he pulled me aside, and I was literally on the 3rd floor, and he called me down, and we were building a residential house. I don't even know what they were doing letting me up there. And he said, Justin, what's going on with the drinking? And I remember I got emotional, and I was like, I don't know if it was a fake cry or it was finally someone's asking me how I'm going. Yeah. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, the boys said you keep going home every day, morning tea, lunchtime, and you're coming in the morning, and you smell like you've been drinking and whatever. And I'm like, no. And I was all defensive. And I remember being on on the roof, putting trusses together or framing on a roof and wearing headphones, and I'd climb down because I'd think the guys were calling out to me, and they'd just look at me like, what's wrong with you? I'm fully tripping out. So I'm up there with nail guns and saws, and that's a bad combination.
Wow.
When,
Definitely.
So that wasn't sustainable. I think I've defrauded my boss of money at the time. Like you do, you get in this habit of just needing to just it's the greed. It's I need more. I need more ice, and the more that you have, the more that your habit grows, the more that you. And what I knew at that time, even though I hadn't gotten off it, probably because of last time giving up, I knew that if I got off it, I'd get sick. So I just didn't. I stayed on it, and I knew I'd have to deal with. I think subconsciously, I knew I'd have to deal with the heart stuff.
And you didn't want to. You don't want to do the come down.
Oh no, because you get sick. It's 3 or 4 days. You've got to deal with all
depression and everything comes crashing down on top of you. So it's just easier to just keep using it.
Everyone you've scammed, everyone you've ripped off, all the stupid things you've said, all the stupid things you've done, you've actually got to stand accountable for. So it's like,
that's right.
I think when you're weak and you're broken, and it's not because you're bad, it's just because ice has just caused a trail of destruction. And I think subconsciously the whatever part of you is still, maybe the spirit or the soul that's going, man, you're doing the wrong thing, and that's the part of you that's going, hey, like sort this out, but your flesh is going, I do not want to deal with everything I just. So what do? You just take more. So you have more and more.
To numb that shut up voice, So you just have another hit, and you get digging a deeper grave. I've got to stop I've got to ask a question. Commercial break. What were your friends and family, people that love you, that weren't in Ice World? Were they saying anything like?
I think. Look, I would go home. Like at that point, I was living at my mum and dad's. I got kicked out. I think when I was 15, 16. I was an idiot. I used to smoke weed around the house and steal off my family and do all that sort of stuff. More than your average young person. And again, it was around trying to obtain more, greed, whatever. Trying to be cool. Trying to get what I. Again, my parents. I started like ditching church before I started ditching school.
Yeah,
So my
yeah.
parents were like very faith. My dad's American, so he says it as it is. He's very black and white, which is awesome now. But at the same time, he's very gracious, not like religious, Bible bashing, but just this is what we do in our house, and if you don't like it, then and it's probably a part of that's a little bit in me.
Yeah.
But my friends, look, most of my friends were using. I was very, like I'm naturally taller and bigger. And the people that I introduced drugs to, that I said to you, like I had a few different groups of friends, and I think you do that in the ice world.
Yeah.
It's like whoever's got what at
Whoever's got the
what
gear at the
particular
time.
time. Yeah, they're
They're
your friend.
friends for the day.
But there's a core crew of friends that like even if they did say something, I wasn't listening. I wasn't listening. I was just going hard. Which led up to, like, I remember going home and I'd be smoking on the glass pipe, and in New Zealand it was the pipe, and over here it was the needle.
Yeah.
And so thank God I didn't discover that over there.
Yeah.
And downers and all that sort of stuff, heroin, none of that was big. It was marijuana, and again, thank the Lord that I didn't discover any of that till I was in a place where I could get help, I guess. My parents had tried every avenue to get help. My uncle was a detective senior sergeant, chief of police. In fact, it's funny, after all this, like my brother and I remember going to the drags with him, which is like illegal car racing, and he had a RX-7. He was always good, Vince, and in fact he used to like do the drags. Now he's a detective or a sergeant or something. He's in the police in New Zealand, and I'm a pastor, so it's like we've both like sort of flip the script. But what's good is that we've both been there. So even though he's in a position where he's trying to correct things, he's also got a heart. Like, he's got a good heart. He's like, mate, you're making a stupid mistake. Don't be an idiot. Go home. Rather than someone who's coming in who hasn't been there, who hasn't experienced it. I was just talking to a guy before, and he was saying that he had a bad experience at church because something happened with his son, and a preference that he chooses in life, and that was spoken about. And I'm like, yeah, but I've got lots of friends or ex-friends that chose different expressions of life. And I think for me, like, I was an ice addict and addicted to everything you could be addicted to, and I was broken, suicidal, and lost. When God, who created the heavens and the earth, chose to impart His love into me, and I'm like, what right do I have to be the voice for God, to discriminate against anyone?
That's right.
Our job's to love, love God and love other people, right?
Yep. Wherever they're at.
There is more to that in the context of a lifestyle and a good way to live.
Yeah.
But what you choose, like, He's still a good father.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was like a full time out detour. So yeah, look, for me, I think, like I said, I've still had a heart, and it was, I was 25, and I went into a hardware store. Like, this is kind of hard for me to say because I still like, it's like, but the extremity of it. In fact, it's maybe 2 days before I got arrested. So I got arrested at Auckland Airport. I was trying to do the runner to Sydney. A friend had said, hey, catch a plane, go to Bondi. Here's a unit. Here's some of the guys you would have known, that I would have known from the past. Had I gone down that road, I heard that the house or the unit got busted, and it got busted the time I would have arrived, and they had a pill press, and they were doing all sorts of, so in other words, they were making ecstasy pills, and like, that's a big deal. So the Lord kind of detoured that road, but a couple of days before that, like probably one at like the darkest hour, I guess, I was just bringing up lots of thoughts. I actually went back to my parents' house. I think I broke into the house like I had done many times. My sister was like a youth pastor or a youth worker at a church called Destiny, and I remember like just going through the house. I'm like desperate, just whatever. For the last 4 weeks in a row, I'd won like jackpots on all the pokies, so my levels of usage had gone from like nothing, and I think this is where like the devil was just trying to take me out, to be honest. My usage had gone from $100 to $300, $400 a day, and again, you can double whatever it is over here because it was expensive. And so I was just trying to sustain this high level of usage. Hadn't slept for a number of days, Went to their house, found a bag with heaps of cash in it, and it was like the offering from the youth. Yeah, I know. So yeah, again, crazy. Like again, meth makes you do crazy things, or ice. And I think again, then you've got to smoke more because you feel guilty. I'm like, what have I just done? And I didn't know it was church's money. I'm just like, whatever. So
No,
then,
you weren't able to process logic rational decisions
Oh, no,
anyway, because that's what happens with ice.
Yeah.
It stops the frontal lobe operating properly. So you do what you need to do to have the next 5 minutes of pleasure, because the animal brain takes over. And sometimes that includes hurting people that you love. Yeah, and you don't realise the processing center doesn't tell you, hey, you know, you kind of have something niggling at the back of you, which you, like you mentioned, it's your soul, your spirit, going, hey, you shouldn't be doing this, but you can't kind of work it out. It's a big mess, you know, and so it's not till after it's like, oh, what did I do? But it's too late.
Yeah.
You know, it's too late. And you know, a friend of my daughter's actually, he had ice. Shut up ice once, and then he was playing chicken with the bus, and he lost sense of what was going on, and he got hit by a bus and he died. He was a New Zealander kid. He was 21 years old, man. And I'm like, man, like the capacity to process logic, rational, distance, time, all of that. That's all it took. You know, he lost his life. First shot, gone. You know.
Yeah, it's funny because like the first time you use it, or first time you use it on the weekend or whenever it is, whatever your lifestyle is with ice, it's like you're all good for the first couple of hours.
Yeah.
But then after that, as you say, you know, one night without sleep combined with drugs in your system, everything's I like that. You get an animal brain.
Yeah.
I was a flipping gorilla if I was an animal. I tell you, actually I was probably worse. I was like an elephant. I was like small brain but big. Gosh, yeah. And my frontal lobe was definitely not working at that stage.
Yeah.
So look, I did that, and then I'm like, okay, how do I get more? And I'd done dabbled with working for my dad. He always tried to help me out where he could, even though I was a lunatic most of the time.
He's your dad.
Yeah, he's my dad. Yeah. So I actually, that's the sad part. So I went into over there. It was a Mitre 10, and got like thousands of dollars worth of power tools. I was a carpenter, so I knew what tools to get.
Yep.
And made a really convincing story. And so my plan was go and do something, get heaps of cash, and then go and leave the country and run away from ice, run away from addiction, run away from everything. Just go. I don't even know what my plan was, but that was kind of, I guess, the gist of it.
That was the brain that wasn't operating properly. You just wanted to get out of that world.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Nobody that is entrapped in ice addiction wants to stay there. Let me tell you that.
Yeah.
You are going around and you don't know how to get out. Yeah, and that's why our peer support service makes such a difference, because we've been there. Once we connect with the person, we can share where we've been, and we can help them out of that space.
Awesome.
And bring them out of the kingdom of darkness into the kingdom of light. Yeah, where they can land, and while they can't think for themselves, we can help them process. Hey,
Right.
don't do that, man.
So good.
Come this way. Let's do that. That's going to help you. You know, and we just love on them until they can start thinking and working it out for themselves. Yeah. So this is what the peer buddy support service that we offer is about. Because
That's awesome.
you know, while I haven't got a brain, and just, you know, while I'm about to suicide, my buddy, who God gave me organically. He said, no, you don't want to die today, mate. Get out of bed. We're going to go and help somebody. We're going to go do this. And I'm like, man, you're so annoying. But you know what? It helped me get others focused. And when you get others focused and you're doing stuff that's bigger than yourself, it changes your life.
Yeah,
it
that's
rocks
right.
your world. You know, it's amazing. So what did you do with the stuff? I have to
Oh,
ask.
look,
I'm so curious.
half an hour later, I already had someone lined up, and I sold it. So it was probably, I don't know, roughly $7,000-$10,000 worth of gear, power tools, drop saws, all sorts of stuff, and I just went and sold it. I think I got like $3,000 cash straight away, and that's that world of like obtain, get rid of, cash was king. And again, New Zealand currency. So I remember I had a dog at the time, so a Staffy. At that stage, we'd gone from doing all right, living at my parents and sustaining an apprenticeship to living in a flat, to then living in a car. You know, there were nights where I was so out of it, I'd be cleaning pipes and I'd drop them on myself with no shirt on, just falling asleep on the couch, like on the nod and whatever. So it just got really bad. It got real messy. And I went to a friend's house. I bought a ticket to Sydney. Went to a friend's house and had my dog, and I told them my plan, and they were like, "Yeah, good idea. Get out of here. Go and sort." Because I was going downhill real quick. And then so I gave them my dog. I gave them a note. I smoked heaps of ice, and then we stopped at the Auckland Airport lookout. And I remember we started smoking weed, which was a bad idea. And we played like one last rave song that we always used to dance to, whatever. This was stupid. And they took me to the airport, and so then they later took the dog home, and a note to my parents to say, "I'm leaving, I'm sorry, I'm trying to sort myself out." So I go into the check-in room, check-in area at the airport, and I give them my bag, and they're looking at us like now in hindsight, looking back, I remember there was like a disgusted feeling coming from these ladies that were working there. I was gone, like I was fried. I was totally, completely, my brain was fried. I couldn't even describe an animal. I was probably like a vegetable at the stage. I remember going upstairs.
On a plane, right?
No, I didn't get. No. So we made it upstairs, and then they started calling my name over the speaker system. So just that alone's tripping me out. So my friend's girlfriend, she was the only one that was like half okay. She grabbed my passport and everything, and she just walked me up to the what do you call it? The security, where the police are. The customs. So I get to the customs, and I'm I'm off my rocker. The guy pushes a button, the thing behind him starts swirling, and then before I know it, there's customs police, and I'm getting pushed out the door, handcuffs locked up. And so my parents had gotten on. They found out that I was going to leave the country. My parents actually had me arrested, which was the best thing that ever happened to me, to be honest. And because I obtained goods under false pretense, and I had other, I've been in trouble before for fighting the police and just stupid things like that. But this was a biggie. So I remember I spent about 6 or 7 hours in the watch house at the airport. They have a police station at the airport. Then I got transferred, I think it was to Manukau or Papakura police station. And that was unique in itself, and I was like on the full come down at the stage. I'd been awake for 4 or 5 days, and it was the weekend too, so I had to wait till Monday to go to the court. So I'm in a jail cell in a pretty dark prison, and it's all I was tripping out and coming down, and I just slept as well. Slept a lot through it. Took me to the courts. I remember Manukau Court, underneath the courthouse, the nice bit that everyone sees. There's they herded us in like animals into the cells, and on the roof. I remember sitting there. It was the first time I've been in a proper jail, and this wasn't even a proper jail. I remember sitting there, and there was feces toilet paper stuck like bombs to the roof, the whole roof was covered in it. And I remember thinking, if this is just a glimpse of what I'm in for, and then I started panicking. I was to be honest, I became the little white boy from Howick, and I was broken. I was lost. Still a good kid, but just done heaps of stupid stuff. So I was actually 25 at this time, and I got diversion. So I went to a 24-hour lockup. I couldn't leave the premises in Mount Eden. Stayed there for about 7 or 8 weeks. I slept for the first 4 days when they went there, and they actually thought I was dead. I remember waking up at one stage, and some dude had come into my cell area or my room, and that's what woke me up, and he was coming to steal off me. And then I ended up, long story short, my uncle, whose best friend was getting married one day after he was leaving to go to Fiji. Again, got appointments, right people, right place. My uncle's, one of his best friends was the diversion officer at the court. My parents withdrew the charges, however, because it was criminal, the police had to pursue it. And look, long story short, I got a get out of jail free card, but they used the fact that I was an Australian citizen as a deportation, let's just send him back to Australia.
Even though you were born in New Zealand?
No, I was born in Sydney.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah,
okay.
So my parents moved from America, had my brother in Texas. They moved to Sydney. My sister and I were born. Then they moved to New Zealand, then went to America, back to New Zealand. Then I got kicked out, so it's like a full circle.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty trippy. Yeah, so I confused myself with my story.
You went to jail to get detoxed,
Yeah.
and get your head straight
Yeah.
for a minute, and then got on a plane. Thank God you didn't go on a plane off your head. I've done
Yeah,
that,
it was
and you know
crazy.
what? It's horrible. You get in psychosis up there,
Oh,
and I was like, I can't get on the plane,
yeah.
and I started to hyperventilate in a bag, and I
Yeah,
had
gosh.
gear in my socks, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness, it's absolutely insane the things that you do when you're
Feel dirty thinking
yeah,
about it.
on
Yeah,
that, in
it's
that life.
terrible.
Isn't that horrible?
Yeah.
But so basically, you God put you in jail to detox because there's no
Pretty
way
much.
for you to
Yeah.
get stuff in there. And then you got sent back to Sydney. Is that
No,
right?
I got sent to the Gold Coast. So,
Right.
well, my auntie lives in the Gold Coast, and I think somehow they conjured up my mum, whose brother was a cop, and my auntie. They're all family, and there were conditions like I had to go and sign in and do stuff at Southport Watch House, and I now know all that stuff. At that stage, I was like, cool, I'm just going to go and work and start my life again and just be a builder and whatever, because I could do anything with my hands.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I arrived. I landed at the Gold Coast Airport. There were like meter maids on the runway. I'm like, man, I've landed in heaven. Like I was going to jail with Black Power and Mongrel Mob, and then
Yeah.
there's like these girls in bikinis. And so at that stage, at 25, I was like, wow, this is awesome. Look, my cousin took me back to a backpackers, and the next day, it was like, okay, work mode. So I found it was called the Baked Bean Lodge at that stage. I moved around the corner, just down the road here actually. And then got a job on a building site, started doing jib rocking. So I did that for about 6 weeks, literally 6 weeks. Indy started. Long story short, I got introduced. I went to hang out with guys on the building site, and they were using meth, but they were actually injecting it. And so I injected ice for the first time during Indy in 2005, and that really began. It was only really a short slope because it just went downhill real quick.
Yeah.
And then
Usually when you relapse, every time
Yeah.
like you relapse,
Yeah, you go
it
back
amps
harder,
another, it amps
Yeah.
another. It's like, my goodness, what happened?
yeah, and the
Like,
difference between like smoking a pipe, which is it's never sustainable, but it's a lot more sustainable, I think, than using needles, especially with the speed and ice. So look, I started using gear again, and I was suicidal. I kept working, and I was on and off. Like I was binging, and I was like, no, I got to stay clean, and then I'd get on it again, and then weekends would roll into weeks.
Yeah.
And my cousin actually invited me to church. I remember it was during Red Frogs. It was a night in November 2005. It's funny because when I was engaged in New Zealand to this young lady, when I was clean during that year and a half, we went to my parents' house, and my parents would always say grace, or they'd pray before we ate. And I'd always mock my dad. I'd say like, hallelujah, praise the Lord. We got back in the car and we were leaving, and she said, do you believe in God? Like your parents always pray. And I remember looking at her and saying, if I believe in God, but I've got too many questions. If God reveals himself to me, then I'll give him my life. And it's funny, I said that in 2002. In 2005, I'm suicidal. I was probably had something in my system, and I remember my cousin invited me to church. I said no at first, and then I ended up going with her to the night service. And I was standing at the back, arms crossed, and they started singing and they started doing their thing. And I've done the church thing before. I'm like, cool, whatever. And I knew there were good people there, and so this was Surf City at the time. And then I remember it was like everything just like. It was like static white noise, everyone, everything. And it was like in that moment, to be honest, I felt, it was the first time I'd felt like the purity of what love is. Liquid love. I always describe it as the presence of God. Because literally, I was a drug user, and I think a way that you can describe it is the devil or the world always has like a substitute or a false pretense for the reality of what God is and his presence and the love. And in that moment, it was like whatever I was on, whatever was in my system it was like it shut down and I was overrid. A friend of mine describes it as the liquid love from the top of his head to the bottom of his toes. It was literally like that.
a bucket of light.
Yeah.
Right?
And I knew that in that moment, I'm like, oh my God, this is God. I was like, flip. And I was lost, I was broken. I'm 125 kilos now thanks to coronavirus. and lockdown and 3 kids and lots of sugar and training, whatever. But at that stage I was probably like 80 kilos max. And you know, I'm 6'2". So I was pretty lost. And I remember at the end of the message, the Pastor Mark Scuria, he did an altar call, and I don't even remember this story of my hand went up and I went up to the front. It's funny, on that night, and again, God moves things, I believe, strategically. On that night, a guy called Bennett Kane. Bennett, he got called in by Pastor Richard to stand behind me. Like, he just grabbed him, and at that stage he was looking after transformations. Bennett's got a good heart. Yeah. But it was like just the right people at the right time, and I just remember standing
How coincidental.
there.
I don't believe in coincidences, but
yeah. And I honestly, I responded, and when I got to the front of the church, it was like the waterworks started. Like, I remember I cried for like 2 hours, and I think it was like real, it was everything I never wanted to. It was all the things I didn't want to have to deal with from the past. Because of the hurt within myself, the shame, the guilt. It was like, in that moment, it was like a safe place to begin the journey of healing. I'd love to say it all was like good from there, and to give you a snippet of what the rest of my journey looked like. So in 2005, Boxing Day, I checked into Transformations. I remember at that time.
Transformations is a rehab. Guys,
Transformation Ministries. Here on the Gold Coast, and there's lots now, but at that stage there was 4 residents. It was Boxing Day. There's lots of memories that come from there. There was 40 rules. When I checked out, 2011, I'd been there 12 times, in and out. The program's a year. I'd spent 3.5 years in the program in those 12 times. Wow. I remember. So
you kept opting out?
Yeah, like I was angry. Yeah. So like, I'd push people in the garden, or chase my house leader down the hallway. I'd just do stupid stuff. And like, lots of the time, there's a saying like, you show me your friends and I'll show you what you're going to become like. Or, you look at the words coming out of your mouth and I'll predict your future, sort of thing. And what I like, lots of the time it'd be, hearing someone's going to leave or someone's going to leave, and or seeing something, or schoolies would happen, or it was Christmas holidays, I don't know, like, whatever. But and I remember there was a point my dad even said to me, he's like, why don't you go and try one of the other rehabs? And I was like, there's an umbrella, because Transformations is a Christian program, it's a leadership, it's a therapeutic community, and so many guys come in and out from jail, the streets, that don't have the background that I've got. So it's not just because I was a pastor's kid. Like, I knew that when I was in that place, and the program and the positions that the program put me in to actually experience more of God, it was like, yes, I was getting like my frontal lobe back, and my animal man was leaving, whatever that was, and I was starting to get to grips, dealing with shame, dealing with guilt, dealing with all the stuff, recovery from self, distorted images of world, of God, all that stuff. But I just knew that there was an umbrella, and I can only describe it as God's hands on that place. And for me particularly, I was like, no, I've got to go back there. So 2010, I remember I was in Sydney, I put a coin in the machine. Pastor Mike answered. He's a good friend, he's like my big brother now, taller, and he's my big brother. But look, I called him, and Mike answered. He's like, Transformations, and I said, bro, and he's like, just come back, mate, just come back. So every time Mike, even when other people were saying no, so I went back, went through the program, 2010, graduated, finished that year, and I remember going to my room in that first week, and I'm like, God, I can't do this, I just can't. And I felt like it was that small still voice that I never asked you to. And then I opened up my Bible, Matthew 6:33, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things will be added unto you. And I'm like, okay, I've done it my way, I'm going to do it your way. So literally, I just applied that seek first. I'm like, I'm going to follow everything they tell me to do. I'm not going to react. I'm not going to respond in issues group. I'm going to receive it. I'm going to reflect on self. So I literally did that for a year. And I graduated, did house leadership for a while, looked after the boys. We had 21 residents at one time. So I was doing that and Bible college, stepped out of that, started cleaning the church toilets, and just doing Bible college, and sort of put transformations to the side for a while. And yeah, from there I started connecting with, at that time, the senior pastor's daughter, Richard Nugent from Surf City, and that was a God appointment. I think one of the keys to addiction is having the right partner as well. Breaking addiction and coming out of it, someone that can keep you accountable, and that you can be open and honest with. Not that I've ever wanted to go back to ice and things like that, but we've definitely been like Riverstones, and it's been good. Graduated Bible college, took over young adults, and started leading as a pastor young adults. And for the last 4 years now, we've been the senior pastors of what was Surf City, and we've just renamed Presence Church and Surfers Paradise. So it's crazy, you know. Our community knows that, you know, our building's probably worth, and I'm only a steward, a caretaker as the pastor, but we oversee the building and the land, and it's probably, you know, it's close to $12 million worth of asset. And we have an awesome community that I have a privilege to speak into the worlds of people that have been reading the Bible longer than I've been alive. And they're gracious with us, and they're patient with us, and we journey it out together. And I think that's what I love about our community. We do the journey together, and a lot of mature people, as well as, you know, even this Sunday I know there's some people coming that are coming out of addiction, PTSD, and scenarios that are being invited by their friends. So, you know, if I put on a jacket or a shirt, I guess I can probably speak to a room of businessmen / mums and dads. But I also have the street, I don't want to say the street cred, it's probably a bit of a lame thing, to be able to talk to a lot of the streeties and a lot of the homeless guys, which we meet on a daily basis. You know, I can think of names and faces all around surfers, and we are a church in Surfers Paradise that's going to grow and spread. But at the moment, our mandate is to love the people in the city. So we're looking at how we can do that better. And I love what you're doing, anti-ice, and I'm definitely anti-ice, and to see lives change. So glory to God.
That's awesome. One of your guys in your church, Anthony,
Richie.
He's part of Australian Anti-Ice campaign, and he's going to be trained to be an educator in schools, and buddy people as well. And he does an incredible job out on the streets in
Surfers, feeding
people, and just loving.
He does that off his own back as well too. Just found a need and met it.
Absolutely, and there are a lot of people out on the street. When you've been there, you know, you know what it's like not to have a blanket, and to feel lonely, and to feel broken, and not to know how to get out of that space. So we go out there and we just love on them, and we say, hey, let's hold a hand, let's work this out, let's work out how we can apply for housing for you, or get you in a detox, or get you in a rehab, and walk the journey with you, you know, I love what you said, that, you know, your church is called to serve that community, and that's what, you know, for those that have religious issues, and I know there are people on the site that sometimes, you know, because you guys are talking about God all the time, that's Justin's personal experience, and I can share mine, and we don't enforce that on anybody, but what is important to us is that, you know, the heartbeat of God, which is love, is about helping others, and it's about, you know, loving others back to life. And, you know, a church should be just that, a group of community, same-minded people with that love inside, that, you know, work together for good outside and helps the community, that's what, and help each other on the journey called life, because you can't do life alone. We weren't created for that. We were created to do it in unison, and to work together, and off one another, and help each other. But, you know, society as we know it have become, self, I know better, and you know, I'll find my own way, and I can get it myself, and I can do it myself. You know, I don't know how. I find a large percentage of people that, you know, go through addiction, specifically ice addiction, if God's not in the middle, their likelihood of succeeding is very minimal, and sustaining that. And I'm not talking about just abstaining from using. I'm talking about actual recovery, working through the issues, unpacking it all, and with God we have an opportunity to start again and to be forgiven for that and to walk a new way. Repenting means to turn away from what you're doing and walk a different way. There's no religious aspect to it. There's no, doctrine or anything. Walk the other way, man. Come on, let's just change your life. You can do it. We've done it. Yeah. So that's I really love hearing you say that because
I think we have to remember as well. Like so many people think the climate of the world, especially the Christian world right now, are being reminded that the church isn't the four walls.
No.
And I may have even portrayed that just now. The church isn't the four walls. The church is me.
Yeah.
The church is you. And the Bible says, on this house I will build my church, or on this rock. And I think you said before, it's use what's in your hand. Yeah. I'd say as well, never give up on anyone. I love what you're talking about, the buddy system. Find someone, if someone needs a buddy, we provide them.
Yeah.
What you're saying is we don't discriminate whether someone's using and we wait till they're better. You can't afford to wait till they're better. You've got to love people out of this. And I think that's what I sensed in transformations, and that just worked for me. And you're providing a buddy system, which is what people need. When my parents looked all across New Zealand, there was nothing to help people get off ice, to get out of it. So
there's nothing really like what we do, and it's walking with the person, because I recognise that I couldn't think for myself. I couldn't even I had all this stuff to deal with and everything was so overwhelming, and I just wanted to use again to stop, But my buddy, who organically was sent to me, said, no, come on, I'll come with you. We're going to deal with this today, one thing at a time.
No bullcrap.
Just do it, and that helped me walk out of that journey, So that's what we do. Buddy people, and we want to help you. I don't know, maybe you've been sent this link, and you might be somebody that might be contemplating change, or you might be using and trapped in that life and going, I could, one day I'll think about, quitting, or maybe I'm not ready to, but I want you to hear our heartbeat, right? Because I've lost a lot of friends and I've lost people, one guy in particular, he's entrapped in psychosis, he's never come out. People have died, hung themselves, ended up in prison. You might think you're okay now, but it's very, very quickly can change, and we want to be here to help you. So the number to call is 1-800-NO-TO-ICE. You can call our family support number if you're a family member that has a loved one in addiction. We want to help you with some tools. We want to show you, what's available for your loved one and how we can help them make that transition. That family support number is 0481 844 555, and this, we are always online. Please send us a message. If you want to get involved, volunteer, donate, or become part of what we do, please connect with us. We have a very active social media page, thanks to Rianne. She's an amazing social media guru, and she will be doing a few blogs and a few newsletters and stuff when we can color into that, and you'll get to meet us. So share. You don't know who you're going to touch and who's going to hear the message and go, I'm ready for change. Maybe maybe this guy can be my buddy. Maybe this girl can find me a buddy, or
Awesome.
maybe I can hold somebody's hand and walk out of the space. So connect with us. We want to help you. If you had one final message, one thing that you wanted to say out there to somebody that might be entrapped in addiction, what would that be?
I would probably say, and I say this around everything, I said it to a bunch of guys in recovery this morning, if you don't quit, you can't fail. And that's not in the context of don't give up ice and you won't. It's don't quit trying. Because even if you don't break through today, if you have the mindset, I'm not going to give up on life, I'm not going to give up on attempting to get better, I'm not going to give up, eventually you will overcome. And I want to say this as well. I think one of the reasons that people don't give up or don't quit or don't sustain giving up is because you get so familiar with the uncomfortable that the unfamiliar, healthy, clean marriage, kids on the other side is actually like it's too hard to fathom. That's anxiety when you think that way. It's one day at a time. If you don't quit, you can't fail. And I'd say, you know, I feel like to speak to mums and dads, you're probably watching going, I don't know what to do. I have to lock my house. I've got bolts on my cupboards. I would say, one, get in touch with someone who can lead you in faith and help you have a healthy heart.
Yep.
But also, don't give up on individuals. I love what I'm hearing here because it's we love people where they're at.
Yep.
And the world right now is going, no, come and see me when you're okay. Come and see me when you're not broken. Come and see me. And they're pointing out the faults, but what essentially you're doing is walking in with a blanket going, hey, I'm going to meet you where you're at. And that's on an accountable level, like no bullcrap basically. We're going to call you out on stuff, but we're also going to love you. So yeah, I love what you're doing. This place is awesome. Look forward to it.
That's what was done with me,
Future.
you know. It's like I remember being there, and I remember being in that place, and you know, I had that opportunity, and so I just want to. We all have the same heart here, and we just want to give that back, you know. So, yeah, thank you so much for being on the show.
That's fine.
What
I
an
hope someone...
incredible story. 12 times, guys. Wow. And, you know, that's proof that it does work. Yeah, it does get results. Whether, you know, we get sometimes people that say things like, oh, but, you know, do we have to have God in the middle? And, you know, do we have to have religion involved? No, you don't have to have religion involved. I don't even want that in my life. But, you know, we're not going to enforce God on you. But I can tell you that, you know, I tried to do it without God and I couldn't. You tried to do it 12 times and, you know, but you got there because you had help. You know, you had God in the middle. And we just encourage you to, you know, pull out, try it.
The Bible says God's a gentleman. It says in Corinthians, it says God's a gentleman. If you don't want God in your life, He's not going to come and put
That's
His...
right.
But the Bible also says goodness and mercy chase you down. So the moment that you want goodness and mercy and you want life, and again, I love what you're doing. You don't have to necessarily have God, but if you have these guys, you get them coming with the God bonus, and who knows what could happen. You could walk free.
That's right.
So good.
You'll be set free.
Yeah, awesome.
Can I teach you a little not even one symbol? It's
I don't
really
know,
cool.
That's scary.
Oh, yeah, no. It goes like this. Not, even,
Oh, we're being rude
Even?
now.
Once.
Even once.
not even once, guys.
Not even.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm so tempted to
we'll remember
do the
that.
middle finger.
Not even once, guys.
It's the old...
Yeah, if you can remember that and share that, maybe at church, I don't know,
Yeah.
share
Awesome.
that with you guys.
I'll
Not
practice
even once is our message, guys. Don't touch it. Stay clean.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need it. You really don't. You need life and life abundantly. There's so much out there. Like I wish I, you know, didn't even go down that path, man. It's there to still kill and destroy your life, and like there's so much more to life. Yeah, it's awesome, especially when you do life with people that are amazing like that, and they've done it, and that, you know, are there encouraging you, and you know, going, come on, you can do it, and help, you know, be part of a community, be part of you know, people that are excited about life, yeah, instead of destroying yourself, yeah. Just before we go, guys, couple of other things. We will be at Pacific Fair on the 23rd of July at 10 a.m. If you need somebody to talk to, whether you're a family member, whether you're somebody in addiction, we will be at Pacific Fair on the 23rd of July, all day, from 10 a.m. To the evening. Come down, please say hi, come and join the ARC Army, or, I almost forgot, get yourself a cap that we will have our merch there. You can buy them there at Pacific Fair and support the cause. And guys, of course, our Not Even Once mugs. So you can purchase that at Pacific Fair when we're down there. But if you need support, guys, please come down and see us, because we want that's our heartbeat. That's really what we're going to do. We want to help you, yeah. Our website's down at the moment, so we are. This is like started yesterday morning, and we are doing our best to fix it. Don't know much about IT, but we've got a few gurus on it, and so I won't plug our website today, but it will be up hopefully by tomorrow. I'm really sorry to those who have got links and tried to get on there, but you can phone our numbers, yeah. I'll remind you, grab a pen. It's 1-800-NO2-ICE. That's 1-800-6686-423 or 0481 844 555. Promote, guys, and share this post. Until next week, take care, stay clean, and God bless. Hey,
See you guys.
good night.
Awesome.